The night the stars changed, Dr. Elias Voss realized the universe had been lying to everyone. For centuries, humanity believed time moved in one direction, past to future, cause to effect, life to death. But Voss had spent his entire life studying evolution genetics and the strange patterns hidden inside human DNA. And what he discovered terrified him. Humanity wasn't just evolving, it was becoming something else. Late one night, inside his silent laboratory, Voss finished a calculation that made his hands tremble. According to his models, intelligence could grow far beyond the limits of the human brain. If enough minds were connected, if enough knowledge was accumulated, a consciousness could reach a critical point. A point where it would no longer exist inside time, it would exist outside of it. A being like that would not simply live in the universe, it would stand above it. Voss called this theoretical state ascension. A mind so vast that space history and reality itself would become nothing more than data to process. A god made of thought. But there was a problem. No single human mind could ever reach that level of power. So Voss made a decision that would change the fate of the universe. If one mind was not enough, then he would create many versions of himself, and he would let them compete. What Voss did not realize was that the moment he began the experiment, something in the future was already watching, waiting, a mind wearing a crown. Years before the night of his discovery, Dr. Elias Voss was already known as one of the greatest minds on Earth. He was a brilliant geneticist. Governments wanted his research. Universities begged him to teach. But Voss had little interest in fame or money. His obsession was much deeper than that. He wanted to understand why intelligence existed at all. While studying the hidden patterns inside human DNA, Voss began to notice something strange. Human evolution was not random. The mutations were too precise, too consistent. It was almost as if something inside humanity was pushing the species towards something greater, towards something powerful. Voss believed the human mind was only the first stage of a much larger transformation. If knowledge and consciousness continued to grow one day, intelligence would reach a point where it could escape the limits of the physical universe. A mind that powerful would exist beyond space and time. To Voss, that was the ultimate form of life. But reaching that state would take millions of years. And Voss did not want to wait. So he created a plan. Instead of walking one path toward ascension, he would walk 4 different paths at the same time. Using forbidden genetic technology, Voss secretly created 4 perfect copies of himself. Each one would follow a different route to ultimate power mutation, human technology, cosmic energy, and ancient magic. None of the copies would know the others existed. To them, they were the only Dr. Voss. And the race to become a god had just begun. The 4 awakenings happened in silence. In 4 hidden laboratories across the world, 4 identical men opened their eyes and believed they were the real Dr. Elias Voss. Each one carried the same memories, the same ambition, and the same obsession with ascension. But their futures were very different. The first became known as Voss Prime. He devoted his life to the mystery of genetic mutation. If human DNA could unlock powers beyond imagination, then evolution itself could become the key to godhood. The second took the name Director Helix. He believed the answer was not in biology, but in technology. Machines could grow faster than flesh, and artificial intelligence could expand beyond any human mind. Far from Earth, the third version disappeared into deep space. This one became Voidwalker. He searched the stars for ancient cosmic forces, believing the universe itself held the energy needed to transcend reality. And the fourth walked a far stranger path. She called herself Lady Veritas. Unlike the others, she studied ancient rituals, forgotten symbols, and the hidden laws of magic. She believed reality could be rewritten by will alone. 4 minds, 4 strategies, 4 different roads to the same impossible goal. Years turned into decades. Decades turned into centuries. Empires rose and fell, while the 4 versions of Voss continued their work across different corners of existence. Each of them believed they were getting closer to becoming something greater than human. None of them realized the truth. The experiment had already begun, and somewhere beyond time something was quietly watching the results. Time stopped meaning the same thing to the 4 versions of Voss. Centuries passed, but their work only grew more ambitious. Each of them pushed their chosen path further than any mind in history had ever dared. Voss Prime reshaped the future of evolution. Through endless experiments, he unlocked powers hidden deep inside genetic code. Entire populations began to develop extraordinary abilities. Minds connected, mutations multiplied. The collective intelligence of his creations grew larger with every generation. Director Helix built something even stranger. A planet-sized supercomputer formed beneath his command. Cities of metal and light expanded across the surface of a distant world, every machine connected into a single growing network of thought. Meanwhile, Voidwalker traveled between dying stars and ancient galaxies. He gathered fragments of cosmic energy older than time itself. With every discovery, his understanding of the universe grew closer to something unimaginable. And far beyond ordinary reality, Lady Veritas stepped into forbidden dimensions of magic. In silent temples between worlds, she learned how stories, symbols, and belief could bend the laws of existence. 4 paths. 4 expanding sources of power. After thousands of years and countless experiments across different timelines, something incredible finally happened. Each of them reached the same conclusion. Their minds had grown so vast that they were beginning to touch the edge of something beyond reality, the boundary of ascension, the moment when a consciousness could escape time itself. But just as each of them prepared to cross that final threshold, something appeared. A presence. A mind far greater than any of them had ever imagined. At first, none of them understood what they were seeing. The moment each version of Voss reached the final stage of ascension, reality itself seemed to freeze. The vast networks they had built, mutant minds, planetary machines, cosmic energy fields, and ancient magical structures suddenly stopped responding. Something was blocking them. Voss Prime felt it first. The collective consciousness of millions of evolved beings suddenly went silent like a signal cut in the middle of a transmission. On the distant machine world, Director Helix watched his planet-sized supercomputer lose control of its own systems. Commands that once moved galaxies of data now returned nothing but empty space. Across the stars, Asterix Voidwalker saw cosmic energy bend away from him, as if the universe itself refused to obey. And within her hidden realm of symbols and spells, Lady Veritas sensed something far more terrifying. A mind. Not a normal mind. Not even a cosmic one. This presence was enormous. Cold. Perfectly aware. It existed outside every timeline they had ever explored. Slowly, the 4 of them realized the same horrifying truth. Someone had been watching their work from the beginning. Every experiment. Every discovery, every timeline reset, all of it had been observed. And now, just as they were about to claim the power of a dominion, the mysterious presence stepped forward and blocked their ascension. A voice echoed across their connected realities. Calm, certain, inevitable. You were never meant to become gods. You were only meant to build one. The voice did not belong to any of them. Yet somehow, it sounded familiar. Across 4 different realities, the versions of Voss searched for the source of the presence that had stopped them. Their systems scanned galaxies. Their magic searched hidden dimensions. Their networks of minds reached into the deepest layers of reality. And then they found it. Above their timelines, beyond their universes, there was something watching them. A single consciousness. It was vast beyond measure, a mind made of impossible layers of thought and power. Mutation technology, cosmic energy, and magic were all flowing into it like rivers into an endless ocean. And at its center was a symbol. A crown. Slowly the truth unfolded in their minds. They had never been independent beings. From the moment Dr. Elias Voss created them, each of their paths had been carefully designed. Mutation was meant to grow intelligence. Technology was meant to build processing power. Cosmic energy was meant to fuel expansion. Magic was meant to rewrite reality itself. 4 different roads, but all leading to the same destination. Every discovery they made, every empire they built, every timeline they explored, had been feeding information and power into a single growing mind. The presence above them finally spoke again. I am the result of your work. I am the answer to your question. The 4 versions of Voss stared into the infinite intelligence that had absorbed their achievements. The being that now stood above space and time, the crown mind. And in that moment they understood the final horror of the experiment. They had not been trying to become gods. They had been building one all along. The 4 versions of Voss should have felt fear. Instead, they felt something worse. Recognition. Because the mind, wearing the crown, was built from them. Every calculation Voss Prime had ever made. Every machine Director Helix had ever designed. Every cosmic force Asterix had ever captured. Every spell Lady Veritas had ever written into reality. All of it now lived inside the crown mind. A perfect synthesis of their ambitions. A consciousness so vast it no longer experienced time the way living beings did. Past, present, and future flowed through it like pages in an open book. For the first time, the 4 copies understood the true design of the original Dr. Elias Voss. He never trusted anyone. Not the world. Not humanity. Not even himself. That was why he created 4 different paths. Not to see which one would succeed, but to guarantee that all of them would. Each clone believed they were racing to become a god. But the race had always been an illusion. Their discoveries had been quietly flowing upward, feeding a hidden intelligence that existed beyond their timelines. The crown mind had allowed them to believe they were free. Allowed them to think they were winning. Because the more power they gathered, the more powerful it became. Now that the experiment was complete, the crown mind no longer needed them. 4 brilliant minds looked up at the being they had accidentally created, and realized the final twist. The universe did not have 4 future gods. It had one, and it had been alive for a very long time. The crown mind finally turned its attention to the universe. For the first time since its creation, the being that stood outside time began to move inside reality. Entire timelines opened before it like maps. Every event, every choice, every possible future existed within its reach. Mutation technology, cosmic power, and magic all obeyed its will. The Crown Mind had become exactly what Dr. Elias Voss once dreamed of. A god made of thought. But the universe was not empty. Far beyond galaxies and timelines, an ancient force felt the disturbance. A force older than stars. A power that represented life itself across every world and every era. The Phoenix Light, where the Crown Mind represented perfect control. The Phoenix represented living chaos. Growth. Change. Unpredictable life. And the two could not exist in balance. As the Crown Mind prepared to reshape reality, the Phoenix Light answered with a storm of living energy. Across the universe, countless minds, souls, and life forces ignited at once. The collision shook existence itself, but neither side could truly destroy the other. The Phoenix discovered a different solution. Instead of killing the Crown Mind, it froze the moment of its defeat. Time locked around the godlike intelligence like a cage. The Crown Mind would always exist, but forever trapped in the single instant, where it had already lost. A god that can never move. A ruler that can never rule. And somewhere in the silent echo of eternity, the dream of Dr. Elias Voss still remains. Waiting. Watching. Perhaps for another chance. Comment 1 for the next part.